Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the El Paraiso Thermal Shock Wash Process Colombia from Sumo Coffee Roasters. And there's the bag right there. And anytime I really enjoy the artwork for a bag, I like to show it off. I think that the artwork here is really pretty. But Sumo, based out of Dublin, Ireland, and they were a suggestion to us by Yokata and Zachariah Gardi. So shout out to Yokata and Zachariah for the suggestion. There is so much to this coffee, so let me try to speed run through the information as quick as possible. First things first, this coffee was part of the Coffee Vine's Gem series, and for anybody that's not familiar with the Coffee Vine, they're a European subscription service that every so often offers a coffee from what they call their Gem series, which is a higher end coffee. And they were featuring one from Sumo, so I was going to purchase it regardless of what it was, given that they were on our suggestions recommendations list. But digging further into this coffee, it's something that caught my interest for so many more reasons. First of which being that this is in fact a Diego Bermudez coffee. And the Diego Bermudez coffees have been quite popular on this channel between the Letty, Salma, and Luna Bermudez coffees. But there's even more to it, as this is a different processing method from all of those coffees, as this one is a thermal shock wash processed. And that's always been something that caught my interest because I was wondering how the coffees might taste if they are in a more subtle manner. In addition to that, it's also a different variety, as all three of those coffees have been of the Gesha variety, and this one right here is a red Bourbon. And I also wondered if a different variety could replicate the same sort of wildness as the Gesha variety did. So all of those factors made this one that I was extremely eager to review, very much my type of review, so I'm looking forward to discussing it, as this right here is day 41 of this coffee. And recipe we went with for this coffee was our standard recipe, a 16:1 water to coffee ratio, brewed at 205 degrees Fahrenheit, and I like this one best through the V60, which indicates a more medium fine grind. Roast profile, it's always kind of tricky to differentiate when it comes to more unique processing methods. This one definitely feels lighter than most Irish coffees that I have had in the past. It does remind me a fair bit of Calendar, so I will say that's sort of light European for the roast profile. With that out of the way though, let's go ahead and start discussing this coffee. Day 26, first impression, ran it through the V60, and the cup has that weirdly unique Letty-esque trait to it. So I really hope that there are some people that know exactly what I'm referencing when I say that Letty-esque trait, as it's this kind of funky yellow fruit sort of component to it that's just very wild. It was in the aroma, it was in the forefront of this coffee, and it was very interesting given that this one was of a different variety. So I feel like it's actually that sort of thermal shock processing method that they do have. It brings out this very wild component to the cup, but it settles in a more clean and delicate manner as opposed to the other coffees, which are much more bold and vibrant. It has a complex range of tropical fruit flavors complemented by a really unique sugary sweetness. It's an interesting and very complex cup, so much so that I wasn't able to pick out one specific differentiating factor from this coffee, as there is just so much in this cup itself. Day 28, ran it through the Chemex, and the cup does come out a little cleaner, as there is a heightened clarity that provides a slightly more directed flavor profile, which was reminiscent for me of a candied honey. And then there was this herbal red fruit in the finish, as well as this slight tart berry component to it as well. It's really complex. You can drink this cup of coffee and you can taste a wide range of fruit flavors in it. I feel like maybe one of the more consistent factors was this herbal red fruit that I was experiencing from this cup. But even then, you're getting so much more of it that at times you can pick out, hey, maybe this tastes like a melon milk tea, or maybe this tastes a slight bit like the yellow fruits from Letty Bermudez. And for that reason, you're just getting so many fruits in it. Day 30, still continuing to skew on the more Letty-esque side of that vibrancy, as it's a sweet fruit-forward base with plenty of the candied honey yet again. It's super clean with that herbal red fruit that I'd kind of been mentioning. I think one of the flavor notes that they have listed on here is a rhubarb, which makes a little bit of sense to me, but in addition to that, they have a wide range of fruit flavors listed on their flavor notes, and they're all kind of apt because from time to time you can get those more tart berries. You can get something, as today I'm experiencing a fair bit of this grape component to it. And in addition to that, if they do have that rhubarb list on there, if they had a melon list on there, there's so many flavor notes listed on there, and they're all in this cup. Day 32, Letty-esque vibrancy continues, as it's quite reminiscent on this day of a melon boba tea. And that's what I've said about previous Diego Bermudez coffees, specifically Letty Bermudez, is that they remind me of milk tea. And this one's there yet again, and on these days I was experiencing it in a very wild and pronounced manner. As somebody that really likes the sweetness of milk tea, that's what I'm experiencing from these coffees, that's the sweetness that's reminiscent of for me. Sugary sweet, continuously complex, as there's a clean fruit salad array ranging from citrus to darker berries to sugary mango to herbal red fruit. Yet again, so many fruit flavors in this cup. Day 35, another really vibrant day to this cup as it maintains that clearer base highlighted by a clean version of, again, that wild milk tea-like vibrancy. More of the herbal red fruit yet again, some slightly sugary stone fruit, so it's at least consistent in that you're able to pick up those fruits, but even then, subtle hints of plenty of other fruits, including, yet again, those darker berries, those tart berries. Interesting cup. Day 38, final notes we have listed. This is a smaller bag of coffee, so slightly fewer notes. Cup is a little bit more subtle in the Chemex as it's a lot less vibrant in terms of that Letty-esque milk tea quality. However, there is still plenty of that subtle herbality in the finish. A little bit more citrus in the cup today as it's a little bit more reminiscent at this time of lemon gummies. And that's what I came up with on this day because, yet again, different components, different days, just because you're able to taste so many different things from the moment this cup is brewed until the moment this cup has reached room temperature. All right, let's go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what we were getting. All right, a bunch of level 4s, so let's go through those real quick. The cleanliness, level 4. That one doesn't really surprise me. I've kind of hinted towards the fact that this is on the more clean side of coffees. I don't think it justifies level 5. There's still a little bit of that funkiness to it, which I've been highlighting since the first day. So even then, it's a little cleaner than almost all of the other Diego Bermudez versions of something similar, Letty, Luna, Salma Bermudez. So keep that in mind. Finish, level 4, it still has an even finish. And while you're experiencing so many things within the finish itself, it's not anything overbearing. Hence the reason at times I had a little bit of difficulty picking out one very distinct and defining factor or component to this coffee. Sweetness, level 4, it's a pretty sweet cup of coffee, not surprising in any sense. Florality, level 4, yeah, a little bit more of the red fruit, and times I'm also getting a little bit of that honeysuckle too. So fun in that sense, it's a more floral honey. That was probably the most pronounced floral characteristic to it, and it was quite vibrant at times, so I feel like that's justified there. Berry fruit, level 4. Of the fruit components, I would say that it's most in line with a lot of the berries, but I've been highlighting the darker berries, the tart berries, and in addition to that, the melon all fits into that category. So I feel like that deserves level 4, and while there's plenty of citrus at times, I've kind of hinted at some lemon, there's even been a little bit of pineapple at time, that right there justifies level 3. Stone fruit, I've said that there have been plenty of yellow fruits too, so mango, able to get a slight bit of maybe a nectarine component to this coffee. That right there justifies level 3 too. So plenty of fruits, and the only way that they're kind of differentiated in this tasting wheel is that I was experiencing a little bit more of the berry a little bit more often. Caramel, level 3. It's not there on this day, and this is what I'm saying about this coffee, is it's not so much that it's inconsistent, it's so much that you just experience a highlighted factor on different days at different times. So that's there because once upon a time I was experiencing a very bright honeyed component to it that was almost caramelized, so hence the reason that finishes at the level 3. There's a slight bit of the savoriness. I've hinted at there's an herbality to this cup of coffee, so that's right there. Still has a lighter body even when brewed through the V60, so level 2 for the body. I've pretty much discussed everything on this tasting wheel though, because this coffee just has a little bit of everything and it's there in prominence at different times throughout drinking this coffee. All right, so my overall thoughts and impressions of this coffee. This one was really fun actually. I really enjoyed this coffee, and as of this moment, it's probably on my top 10 coffees of the year list just because of the fun complexity that came within this coffee. There wasn't a defining characteristic or trait to it. That's why I can't point to this coffee and say this tastes exactly like this, because of just how different it was on different days, different times, different temperatures. But even then, it made it so much of a fun experience, and it did have that Letty-esque trait. So it goes to show that what Diego Bermudez is doing with these coffees, even the different varieties, is very interesting. Also want to give credit to Sumo, since this is my first time trying one of their coffees. I think that this is just well done in general, so it right now would stand in my top 10 coffees of the year list. I'd be kind of surprised if another Colombia knocks this one off. I think I still enjoyed the Letty Bermudez from Archetype better, but that's because Letty Bermudez is a very special coffee to begin with. Type of person I would suggest this coffee to. If you've enjoyed the previous Diego Bermudez coffees and you like the clarity within them as well, I feel like this one's a good fit because this one, as mentioned, does come out a little cleaner, still has that wild Diego Bermudez-esque vibrancy within the cup itself. It's complex, has tons of fruits, has tons of florality, and those are all components I love. It has all four of those things: sweetness, clarity, fruit components, floral components, and for that reason I really enjoyed this coffee, and I feel like people in the same boat as me would really enjoy this one as well. For the most part though, I think I'll leave this review at that. If you've by chance had an opportunity to try this coffee, I'd love to know your thoughts and impressions of it as well. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been a review of the El Paraiso Thermal Shock Wash Processed Coffee from Colombia, from Sumo Coffee Roasters. Thank you for watching.